Are you trying to accomplish a goal but you find yourself stuck? So many people today don't know why it is that they can't get from where they are to where they want to be. And the reality is it's usually because of their self-talk. Your self-talk comes from your inner belief system. In other words, however you were brought up, whatever your environment was, and whatever your environment currently is, if it's negative and it talks about lack and limitation versus opportunity and prosperity, then guess what? That conditioned idea that you've been hearing over and over again, maybe from outside sources, becomes your inner dialogue. And it becomes your inner dialogue because that's your belief now. So in other words, here's what happens with most people, and they don't even know it. And this is important to understand. 95% of our day, we're walking around unconscious. We're literally doing things on automatic pilot. Our operating system is driving the car for us. Our operating system is doing all those things that we don't need to use conscious effort to do. And when that happens and we're not in a conscious state of thinking, what typically happens is we start thinking about things that are in alignment or in harmony with our belief system. So if I grew up in an environment that was not encouraging, it was an environment of discouragement or an environment of lack and limitation or negative things about relationships or people, and that is my conditioning and that's my programming, then when I'm in this unconscious state, walking around this earth like a zombie and not paying attention, my inner dialogue, the conversation I'm having with myself, is going to be in harmony with all that negativity. And because of all that negativity that's going on in my mind, I'm not hearing it. In other words, I don't really hear it. I'm not paying attention, but it's going on because your mind never sits still. In its default state, it's just having conversations with you. And those conversations may not be serving you. And what happens is, because we repeat this over and over again in our own mind, and because we've heard it so many times, it becomes a part of who we are. It becomes our belief system. And here's the key. Your belief drives your behavior. So if my belief system is something negative, if my belief system is that I'll never earn a lot of money, or I'll never get the promotion, or I'll never find my soulmate, or I'll never be healthy because that's the way, it just is, or, maybe we grew up on this side of the tracks, so that's the reason why we'll never be successful, or, you didn't finish school, or you didn't go off to college. If all that inner talk of negativity is going on in my mind in an unconscious state, it's making my belief about that stronger. And since my belief drives my behavior, then unconsciously I'm going to behave in such a way that's in harmony with that thinking. So here's what happens. We don't know why we're getting the results we're not getting the results that we want. But the reality is because our belief is driving our behavior, we're doing things that are in harmony with the negative talk. Now, some people, they grew up in an environment where success was talked about, and opportunity and prosperity and love and all these wonderful things, and that became their inner belief system. And when they're in an unconscious state, that's what they're thinking about, is prosperity and abundance and success and wonderful lifestyles and those kinds of things, relationships. So as they're going around the world unconscious, because they're unconscious too 95% of the time, that dialogue is serving them. You see, it's the same process, only that most of us didn't grow up in that environment. We're not exposed to that environment. We're not in that environment every day of opportunity and abundance. We're in an environment of negativity, people talking about the news and how bad things are and how sick people are and terror and all these things that are going on. So that becomes the dialogue. So you either have negative dialogue going on in your mind when you're not paying attention, or you have positive dialogue going on in your mind based on your environment when you're not paying attention. Either way, your behavior is driven by that dialogue or that belief. So one person is struggling and the other person is succeeding. And we say, geez, that person, everything they touch turns to gold. Well, the reality is the reason why everything they touch turns to gold is because the inner dialogue and the belief system is that everything that they're going to touch turns to gold. Where most people, everything that they touch does not turn to gold. In other words, it's bad luck or bad things happen, okay? So we need to shift our thinking from the negative dialogue to the positive dialogue, and we need to repeat this stuff over and over again to ourselves. We need to be hearing it and repeating it so that our belief system changes. Because when our belief system changes, our behavior will change, and that's when we'll start to get the results that we truly want. Now, for those of you that weren't brought up in an environment that was, talked about prosperity and talked about opportunity and love and health and all those things, you can still change the dialogue. It's just going to take a little bit more effort. So the person that grew up in that, it's automatic. The person that didn't grow up in it has to create that automatic response. And the only way you're going to create that automatic response is to start having some self-talk. start lying to yourself about the things that you truly want, the things that you're capable of, and saying to yourself that you have confidence, and saying to yourself that prosperity is for your, is here for the taking, and talk about how wonderful relationships are all over the place and you should have one too. And all those things that you're saying negatively about yourself, find the positive in it and start to talk to yourself in the positive way. Now, here's the thing. Do it out loud. Look in the mirror. Talk to others. Get around people that are talking about opportunity versus lack. And if you're around it long enough and you talk to yourself long enough about it and you say it out loud, eventually your self-talk in your unconscious state will be the same. It'll be of prosperity. It'll be about abundance. It'll be about health and vitality. And when you start talking to yourself unconsciously, even though you're not hearing it, guess what's happening? It's becoming a part of your belief. And like I said, your belief drives your behavior.